Here.
That's your intro, right?
Yeah.
I give you the stage.
Yeah.
I think she's going to do an amazing voiceover job.
That wasn't it.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine.
Welcome back to the Sense and Sensibility podcast, where we talk about the good, the bad,
and the unnecessary products we come across every day as moderators on SteemHunt, a Steam blockchain-based product hunting site.
I'm Dalio.
And I'm Team Humble. Let's get started.
Hey, I say it every week, and I'm going to say it this week. We got to change that goddamn intro. It's driving me mad. You have to unmute yourself, otherwise I'm just going to listen to a line going across the screen.
You're breaking up. I didn't know you're speaking, but we do have to change it, but I feel like for all kinds of different reasons.
Yeah, it's just, look, we just discussed it before we came on. It is sense and sustainability, I don't even know what it is myself.
Sense and sustainability.
Right. And then underneath that,
right.
And underneath that moniker of suggestion is then going to be a series of different perspectives. So I think it encompasses a lot of things, but all that needs fixing, because that intro me like
critical. You sound great.
I don't like it,
but it's fine.
I don't like it. It's too long. Anyway, we'll change it.
Hi, we haven't.
I want something like
a while.
Yeah, no, we haven't actually. It's been 10 days or so, or longer?
It's been like 2 weeks, but I'm not sure. I'm nervous. I know it's because HF20, and then that I think that just sent a cascade, or I don't know. HF20 we had problems because we couldn't post. And so you and I kind of were like, let's just let it settle down. And then by the time it settled down, we were like, I think just other life stuff kind of.
I know what happens. Yes, you're right. You've reminded me. You've refreshed my brain, which I'm really, really thankful that you do that
thanks.
for me. No, I am. Like
human caffeine.
It's like having your own guide service person. I know. I was good. Got there before I got there. I was going there, but
I appreciate it.
I know what happened. It was the 25th when the HF20 launched, and then everybody was like, "Fuck! It's going to be a week until I get my mana back. I can't post the damn thing." Like everybody was like, "Steam is broken. Steam is broken." Everybody was sitting in that GIF with the fire around them, like, "This is fine." Yeah. And then so there was 2-3 days, solid 2-3 days, where people really had a life reevaluation about what life was like before Steam. And then we hit October. Yeah, then we hit October. So if you look at it like that, so it was 27th, and then we started to come back online and then started to roll out fixes. And then and that was it. They rolled over to the first, and then everybody came back off on it.
And then Virgo is in retrograde, and everybody started wiling out.
Banks is slicing pictures while taking their money. It's the best ever.
I feel like for somebody who's, for my way of being mystical and your way of being ground sign sensory, it's just been a very tumultuous 2 weeks. And not in that it's been terrible or chaos, but just felt like everything. I felt like the ants in the ant farm that just some kid just came up and shook it like an Etch-a-Sketch. I just feel like the whole world just was we had tremors of chaos everywhere, but it's fine. It's nothing terrible or life-changing. It was just it's, we talk about this in the other podcast.
It upsets the flow.
Exactly. It just disrupts the flow, and it forces you to kind of think on your feet. I'm getting my face destroyed by the dentist every other week, and it's just been a lot.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Really, it's the blockchain was down, so we couldn't do particular things on it. We weren't modding. See, one of the things that you do when you have a remote job is you have a flow, and that flow is I get up at this time. I'm expecting the clients to come on. I'm going to do my modding. If you're a moderator in some kind of online service and you have to do your bit, be it an hour or how many items you have to do, and you get into a flow. So when that flow is removed, there was no way we could look up things. We do take notes in Trello, but it would have been another how do we do this? It would have become frustration. Mm-hmm. So, and because of the whole blockchain being down, it was what else am I going to do? I'm going to use my time a bit better. And then boom, clients started dropping in left, right, and center wanting like screencast doing or voiceovers doing.
Yeah, but I also think it's pretty good. It's good to like talk about something when it's behind you, because then you have the best perspective. I think people rush to be like, let me throw my opinion in about this. And it's like, the blockchain's been down for 2 hours. It's like, all right, it's almost a little bit better that we have this amount of time to look back and we can see the entire arc of how the story played out and where we are now on the other side of it. And I feel like I'm probably better prepared to talk about it, if at all, than I would have been if I was just like in the middle of that chaos.
It's funny, like the more technology that we've added into our life, the more less lenient we are to allow change within it. I've noticed, like really, I remember being a teenager and having certain things like CB radio and a computer and whatever, but they never evasively disrupted my life in such a way. Like if my computer didn't work, I didn't power up, or maybe the plug or something had gone wrong with it or whatever. Like, but I didn't. There was no blame game or like, oh, you've changed it. There was no outrage. There was no outlet for me to be just like on social media, or even the irony of writing a blog post about a system whose blog was down.
Well, yeah,
it's not lost on me.
I think it was kind of a perfect storm, because everyone, even if you didn't know exactly what was coming in HF20, you knew that changes were coming. And then it was a perfect storm of also technical problems, which resulted in a lot of people not being able to post. And I think that was incorrectly assumed that those were the changes. Like, oh, you're a smaller account. Screw you. You can't post. Like, it was really like, oh no, is this the change? Is this the tweaking that they were talking about, or is this that and that? And it's like you always said, it's always best to give that just time to let things level out. But it was a bit of a perfect storm of bad timing, of there being technical problems.
You've just brought up a really interesting point now that probably didn't get talked about, or is a unconscious thing that didn't get talked about. And it's this thing of like, oh my God, I don't have what this blockchain requires me to have anymore. Like, I've run out of mana, I've run out of RC power, and I don't know how these necessarily work yet. They need to rebalance. There was this like whole thing about equalization. We didn't know if somebody from a late night TV show was going to come around and take out a grandma. We had no idea about these terms that were being thrown about. But it was just a bug, and it needed to reset, and it didn't get as much testing, and it actually brought the community closer together because it showed how people cared about it. And I will say this, because we had all those issues, it obviously really affected the mods, because the mods couldn't do their job when all these things were coming in. And then also people were finding out that they couldn't comment or change or edit. So that escalated really quickly for us as a DApp. And then what I was really impressed by, and one of the reasons why I decided to get behind like SteemHunt rather than kind of other dApps on the
just
blockchain.
Kidding, not trying to stir up drama, just being a jerk.
No. The only reason why is because like little things, like little details matter. Like within 24 hours, Tabris had designed in the menu this beautiful like cylinder kind of recharge graphic in the profile, and literally 24 hours after seeing the knock-on effect of that. Now he's probably been looking at the documentation and trying to adapt to be ready for it and everything, but just that visual cue right there, being able to point people to that, and the dissemination of that to other people, or you don't have enough to vote or whatever. Actually, I think people took care of it really well. It was, we don't have a service level agreement. We don't have like we will fix this in a certain period of time. Lots of people saying, oh, this is broke. Therefore, if that's broke, then yours is broke and you broke it.
Right. Well, and we always really plug Discord, but like that week for me, or those 5 days for me, was like all I ever needed to know to sell the thought of being in on Discord, if you're interested or if you're involved in the SteemHunt community, because there were announcements going out on Discord, like it felt like every 12 hours, where there was just so much communication of like, okay, hey, everybody sit tight. We don't even when someone communicates, we don't know what's up right now, but we're waiting. That's just something so that people don't kind of like run away with crazy wild assumptions. There were always updates coming out. Hey, to us mods, there were updates like, okay, we're going to help you guys out with your mana situation with a temporary delegation so you guys can get in and do your jobs. I mean, it was just like, it was stupid responsiveness, considering also all the time zones that the whole team, is across. I felt like everybody really came together, and that's why it's so important to have kind of like that redundancy of of Discord to be like, oh, the blockchain's down. Okay, everybody like come on over here, huddle in. It's almost like that CB radio you were talking about of like, all right, let's get the news.
Yeah.
And, get comms back up. I talk about it like it was like a hurricane, life or death situation. Of course it wasn't. But I think when a change is that drastic and then all of a sudden people's ability to post or do something that they're normally used to doing on a daily basis, it's jarring. Like it was jarring for me, for sure, because I was like, we've been on the platform 2 years. You've just hit level 70 rep. I'm 60 something rep. And I'm thinking like, damn, we can't even post, like, not in any type of self-braggadocious way, but we're not brand new accounts. We're not spam bot accounts. Like, how the hell are people going to be able to participate? So it was, that was like, it kind of felt like, it was definitely a shock to the system. But I think that's because it wasn't communicated, or we didn't understand right away that the problems were not really the changes of HF20. They were bugs that happened as a result of the change, not like this is how it is now.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a shock. It was kind of like, I don't know, sending your dog away for it to have like a manicure and coming back and half of the back end of your dog looks like a poodle now. No, it's like,
right.
Oh, okay. Still my dog,
right.
But
and we've been through like several hard forks, and it was never like a full stop the way that felt like a full stop of like, oh.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult. I think it's really difficult to tell a community that don't worry, it'll be equalized in 5 days' time, because 5 days sounds like a lifetime, and it literally 2 days in, everybody's like, "Is this broken now? Is this how it's going to be? Is this what RC?" I think, and sorry to go back to what you said earlier on, and I didn't really highlight it. There was an unconscious undertone that everybody thought, "Oh shit!" Like, because everything had been zeroed out and everything was recharging, I think everybody thought, will I have enough to interact in the same way that I've always interacted with the Steem blockchain? And I think that put a lot of people's nose out of joint, because they were like, I'm not putting money in to do this. Like, why should I have to pay to blog and shit like that? But for me, I went the opposite way. I was like, yes, for the first time, from blockchain. I mean, I've only really used this blockchain, so I can't really talk for other ones, but I don't see it mentioned in blog posts or in tweets or anything. But for the first time, we know how much actions on that blockchain are going to cost. And I think for storytelling about the blockchain in years to come, when the mass market arrives, when everybody's okay with talking about it over lunch, not feeling like they're the only one who stands out from the rest of the family. Because let's be honest, it needs to have like that public acceptance before people are like willing to talk about it. Yeah. And so I don't know. I think Steem's got a long way to go. I think,
well, the thing, okay.
Yeah.
Here was like the big thing that was reminded that
my brain
I know. I saw the blue screen of death come across your face.
The whole phone just went.
You ran out of mana sentence.
Totally.
Here's the thing that I didn't process at the time, because it was jarring not being able to just like post on a whim. But the reality is whether or not you ever had encountered it or not in previous hard forks, there was always a bandwidth system. There was always a system to have to do that. Now, and like I said, it was that perfect storm, because all of a sudden a system that was running in the background is now being highlighted and talked about. But then at the same time, that system broke. So it felt like, oh, so now you're throttling me. Now I'm being restricted. And now this, now that. The reality is that whether or not you knew it, unless you're an extreme spam bot in the past, you probably never realized that there was a bandwidth, that there always was a system that was that gave a preference to larger accounts in terms of being able to post. But it always recharged so quickly that no one ever had an issue.
I feel it. I even now it's equalized. Right. Now that whole like zero out kind of thing is out of the way. I actually think it feels more solid now. I actually feel like it's faster. The commenting and just like things happening in the wallet and transfers and things, they seem real fast.
Yeah, and it was just funny in the moment, because we logged on to like Steemd and we realized that not only were we we had no power to post, but we were in deficit for 2 years of daily posting, sometimes posting 3, 4, 5 times a day for 2 years. And all of those, and every single comment, every single mod comment, sometimes we make 60 plus comments a day as moderators. Every action we'd ever done on the blockchain, we had like a deficit in the quadrillion, billion, trillions. And I was like, oh no, this is a problem.
Yeah, my figure looked like a longitude and latitude to get you to Venus.
Oh,
like it was like 38 trillion or something. It's like, oh shit, that's going to take forever to like recharge. And then, and it's those unconscious things that don't necessarily get talked about as a user. Obviously, we're like tsunami wave, like cutting edge at the big. It's not a fully rounded, fully fledged product. It's an alpha, beta, gamma, whatever the fucking X-ray zone you want to live in. It's not something that somebody can send a message to support and say, I am 38 trillion mana in debt. Like how long will I, and so it sets this precedent then of like, shit, like, do I do too much? Should I measure how much I do? Like, but then also, like I said, on one side, I was like, yes, this is good. This is good. This is good to know that we are thinking about how much the chain, which is a series of computers all connected together or with a copy of this blockchain on it, how much that costs.
Well, that kind of like
there's a financial
right,
power.
And that kind of like leads me into a little note that I had here, which I wanted to ask you, and is, do you think that whole process and the way that HF20 is set up, do you think that how do you think that affects SteemHunt? Do you think that people will be more conscious or be a little bit less throwaway with their SteemHunt posts? Like I know we had a couple months ago, we had an adjustment where only one of your posts gets an upvote a day. So people couldn't just link farm, a million posts onto SteemHunt to try to get as many top 10 posts as they could. Do you think that this is going to have... you think it's going to give anybody pause and say like, okay, is this really what I want to post today? Or do you think it's just going to be back to business as usual? Because we are on the other side of it. So we're seeing a little bit how things are changing.
Well, if you're asking my opinion on it, there's one thing I've noticed in the 3 or 4 months of SteemHunt progressing and changing and adapting, and it's almost like programmer versus code and then code versus community. It's kind of like constantly evolving. The problem we're always going to have is there is a bloody chart from 1 to 100 plus, and there's money involved. Right.
Well, it's always
so it doesn't matter. Right. I mean, my opinion now is that whatever methods change, whatever things happen to do with voting power, people will either try and get more power, they'll delegate it to somebody else, they'll get a group of people around it. It all depends in terms of what people's interaction with the platform are. And right now, I feel like what's interesting, and I don't want to come across as arrogant here, but I know a lot of people think I am, so I'm just going to run with it. Normally, I like to equate it to passion, but fine, I'll go with my arrogancy side. I realized recently that not everybody has had the product learnings and education that I have of having access to products for the last 20 odd years because of my jobs, the jobs I've worked, the things I've wanted. I've been very lucky in England to have access to a lot of the things that I wanted to have as a geek in my 20s and onwards. Right. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of people, those things are out of reach for a lot of people around the world still in different communities. We don't realize it. So there's a natural assumption inside that's like, oh my God, that's garbage. Oh, here's another drone. Here's another thing. Here's another thing. And it's very easy for us to be like, that's trash because of the price, because you don't know the brand, oh, that's trash compared to this. But then I started to analyze my reaction to that, and realizing that for the first time, especially in this day and age where you're bombarded with suggestive material that this is an experience that you need to have. A drone is just a drone. Right. To somebody who doesn't know about brands, never played with something, realized that it was garbage and upgraded from it. So I think people are always going to do whatever they need to do to get to wherever they want to go. And I think we have multiple people on the platform with multiple journeys. Some is just to acquire steam. Some is just to like copy every single tractor or wheelchair off a website and put it up because that's their job done. I know a lot of people see SteemHunt as work.
Okay.
You know, that
So
literally.
here's something. Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but like you and I've talked about this before,
No.
and I'm wondering, and this is maybe my part of like the part of me that just like desperately wants to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm wondering how much of the problem of like I call it skew surfing, where you just like you see one set of headphones that got approved, and then you just go down the entire line of every single thing that the brand offers. I wonder if that is really coming out of a place of fear where people don't really understand or know if their product is going to get approved or not, or, you know, delisted or verified. And so that feels like a safe bet because I saw somebody else do this. Like, I don't know if it's if part of it's laziness, but there's also some people who maybe don't understand the PG in their language as much. And they feel like when I post, I have no idea what these people are looking for. So I'm going to go with something that I know is a sure bet because this, and this got approved. Do you know what I mean?
I think we're doing great things across the platform because you put it yourself in this situation, right? Flip the coin on its head, right? Suddenly you're in Nigeria, right? You don't know English. You don't really know about this website. You've not had many products or not had the capacity, you know, your jobs just because of the way where you are in the world and the you know how much the minimum wage is in that country compared to yours. You know, there's a certain access to things that you're going to get and certain not. So you certainly have an attractive offering with a website where you can earn money and you actually get it out in an ATM and it's like, oh shit, this thing is real. Like, and that's the biggest thing in your life. You're going to chase it down, right? But also at the same time, there's people learning how to write English for the first time, like really putting work in or finding tools.
Sure.
Like it's an educational thing as well. So I'm super torn all the time, every single day. Like I go from waves of, oh my God, that's absolute fucking garbage. That's, you know, I go from, oh, this is just a site that's contributing to climate change because we're just reinforcing people to buy janky stuff. You know, truckloads of van loads, boatloads of like 100,000 pieces of like $5 drones that fly for 7 minutes after charging them up for 2 hours. Like things that really grate me because the story from start to finish, it's obviously bad for the environment, whatever way you look at it, right? For that to go from a brain fart in somebody's head in a bar and be like, we should mass produce small little drones, right? They don't have to have a great experience. Person has to go through the idea of hearing it and takes off, and it doesn't have to perform. It doesn't have to have great software.
And like, sorry. But what you're saying is like that there's a certain level of privilege, but we've been privileged to know, not to understand, but we've been privileged to see enough. Like you were saying, you know, I think you were like, oh, I'm just going to call it arrogance, but it's not arrogance. It's just a privilege that we recognize that we've had, that we see those things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'll go back to the original thing. It's like, it's whenever there's money involved, whenever you turn it into a leaderboard, there's different motivations of wanting to either be at the top or to get more of a payout or to be recognized or to be seen or to, you know, my product's better than yours, whatever it may be, right? And I think we've got a long way to go with SteemHunt till it gets to a point where, you know, it looks as good as ProductHunt, because ProductHunt seems to manage it somehow. Maybe they have a curation team that puts things up relevant to do with what's going on in the world. Maybe they're like a specific thing for Sketch because Sketch is launching that week and they keep it on, you know, they keep it behind and then push it the same week, you know, like a proper news site would do. We've got a long way to go to do that. But at the same time, I think one of the benefits that SteemHunt has over something like ProductHunt is ultimately behind the scenes is an algorithm. The algorithm calls the shots. So if people want to game that algorithm, and you know, a lot of people are trying to acquire Steam, they're getting a bigger reputation, they're getting more like power. I can't be mad at I can't be mad at the algorithm that's there for everybody. We're always going to have greed. We're not always going to know if we're being greedy. Some people might say I'm greedy for putting a vlog up on DTube every day and getting a payout. Not always getting a payout, but sometimes getting a payout. Whereas I would say I'm actually trying to integrate into the vlogging group of people there because originally that's where I started. I was with a small group of video bloggers. I don't want to put out a vlog every day on YouTube because I feel like the chasm between connection of another vlogger is like 10 years difference. This feels fresh, feels new, it feels, and at the end of the day, it's the algorithm that decides, or a curator. Or
and I do appreciate the way that the algorithm works, because I really do feel like it, instead of punishing quote unquote bad behavior, it really rewards the things that the team has decided are good behaviors. Do you know what I mean? It's a very like, I love it, because anybody who wants to, you know, come in and call people out, or call this out and call that out, like, the very truth of the matter is, no, we don't even know how it works. Like the mods, our community manager, like there's probably one person who knows how it works. That's Tabris. He's not, he's not hunting on a daily basis. He's like in the weeds battling code. I see him like in my mind, like in a jungle, like hacking branches and things away. He's like in the thick of it. And I kind of appreciate that. And I always felt like the word algorithm was always a negative thing. Like, oh, Instagram was good until the algorithm took over, or Facebook was good until the algorithm came in. This is like probably my first experience with a social site that the algorithm, I feel like, really helps. And it really takes away a lot of the approach.
I mean, normally an algorithm, but the thing is with an algorithm for something like Facebook, it only affects you when your feed looks different. So therefore, in people's mind is like, my feed used to look like this, and now the algorithm has changed the way it's presented. Well, the algorithm changed because they probably had a lot more force put on them by the investors or the marketers. You know, I want Pride of Place. I want to put this in here. I want this to do that. They do A/B split testing, which is like they show you one version, and then if they don't get as much traction, they show you another version. And then they work out from that which ones like people like more, and they put those into place. Facebook were changing their bloody website like once a week at one point, whereas the Steem blockchain is not just one algorithm. It's an algorithm made up of many different approaches to the algorithm, which rewards engagement. It's the idea of the algorithm. One part of the algorithm is the proof of brain. Right. So in my mind, it's kind of like showing up, being consistent, feeding that blockchain. The blockchain's getting bigger. There's activity on the blockchain. Like, what is social really when you think about it? What is social media when you think about it from all the different angles of it?
I was specifically talking to like ABV though, like account-based voting, the fact that there are hunter scores. Now we realize that people are not only motivated to make money with their hunts, but they're also want to have a high score. They want to have a higher reputation within the SteemHunt system. And in order to do that, there are certain activities that will reflect poorly on your score, and other activities that will help your score. So
I've always said it though, because we have numbers on the site, it's a game to a lot of people. And a lot of these, and also a lot of these, like, you have to remember the community is mainly a crypto community backgrounds. Like, people who are on the Steem blockchain are not your average person in the street. They're like into digital money. They're into like tsunami wave technology, new stuff. Like, they're more likely to be either young engineers or established engineers trying to change their life, or trying to get out of the country, or trying to do something different in their life. And so it's a challenge. It's like, how does this work? How is it put together? How do I get my stuff up to the top?
It's like a code to crack.
This is, if you're an engineer, this is the ultimate game.
The Da Vinci Code,
right? So I think we have all sorts, but we have a lot of people. A lot of people are into mathematics. A lot of people into messing with equations. That's where we're at. What I will say is, from a social perspective, from a front end perspective, which is where I kind of try and live, is that I think it helps hold a bigger conversation. Like, in the early days, we were like, why is this number one, and how did that get to number one? And people were outraged about things that were making like $400. I think we went through a hell of a lot in a short period of time to get to somewhere now where it is fundamentally a lot fairer. And you take a look at the top 10 people. And
you realize, okay, if somebody who didn't know anything about crypto, anything about the Steem blockchain, if they just landed on this website and said, oh, this is a product site, like, is the top 10 something that we're proud of that's up there? And more often than not now, I think it is. You know, there's like really, really good stuff that deserves to be in the top 10 and the top 10, which wasn't, like, you're right, it was not always the case.
Yeah, I think we've got another set of problems, but we've always got problems going on. There's like people making alt accounts and just feeding those accounts and like charging them up, and And like, again, it goes back to that engineering and algorithmic thing. If, that's somebody's thing, if they get something out of that and that feeds them in some way, well, that's up to them. I completely flipped in about a month and a half ago of like, all right, I'm just actually going to use this site for what I thought I was going to use it for, which is bookmarking. I've had so many websites over the last 10 years that I've like, I can bookmark all my stuff. And then it's like, sorry, we're closing down. We got bought by Google. It's like, fuck me. Here's a HTML file for you. Links. What use is that?
Heard of Pinterest?
Like,
I'm
never going to use that.
No.
Yes.
Okay, well.
Yeah, let me put some on Pinterest so I can see 1,000 other people doing it better than me. Yeah,
so
great,
real quick, because I do want to get on to our next section, but SteemHunt is now running a witness. Wants to run a witness. Is starting to run witness, and that's super cool.
That's why I called this show Witness the Fitness. Like there's a song called Witness the Fitness by some guy, I can't remember, some rapper from London. But Legitness the Fitness. So Witness, basically a witness for people who are not listening and just tuned into ProductSense to hear about SteemHunt and blockchain and Steam in general. A witness is a server which has quite a lot of CPU power, lots of memory, fast hard drives, and normally a really, really fast connection to the internet. And it has a copy of the blockchain, which it runs a little program called SteamD, which is an aggregator, kind of like an aggregator of content in a way that it's always syncing the chain with blocks. Right. So everything that you write to the ledger, it goes to a blockchain and then it goes to the blockchain and then it's synced across all those witnesses. So it's very important those witnesses are available, and it's very important those witnesses don't miss any blocks. Right. And by available, I mean uptime. And depending on how many blocks you drop, depends on how far you up or down in the chart. So if your server's like got a high level, even though we don't have service level agreements, if it's got high level SLA on it, so it's like 99 point whatever %, then you're going to do very well, move up the rankings and get into the top 20. And I think the top 20 witnesses earn, I've heard badged around, I don't know this to be true, but anywhere up to about $5,000 a month. And I would say the costs of a decent server are probably $1,500, $2,000. So there's money to be made to be a witness, but it involves a lot of work because obviously hard fork code gets pushed out. You have to make your servers up all the time, which is like an enterprise class situations. Like businesses have a hardware engineer running 24/7, and they have multiple people covering different shifts. For instance, Epic Games with Fortnite, they've probably got 100, maybe 500 engineers globally that are constantly checking their cloud instances and latency and ping times and looking for vulnerabilities. So it's not a 9 to 5.
Right. It's not just something you leave running in the background and hope it's all right. No. It's like literally getting into a helicopter and shipping a beating heart in a box to a hospital because somebody needs it.
But
that's a good, good way to do it. But that was just announced like 2-ish days ago. So that's super exciting to hear because I can't think of a better team to be that personally.
Yeah, I think the important thing about putting yourself out there and saying we want to build a witness is that the delegation for SteemHunt to do what they do came from Ned, which is certain assets on Twitter. He used some of his Steam power. He was half of the team of the original Steam blockchain when it first came out. And so he accrued a lot of Steam power, which he has delegated to a number of Steam apps on the blockchain that are doing good stuff, which help him then go out and talk about the blockchain to companies. Because without products, you've just got a chain, and that's not very appealing to a business. They need to see how they could utilize your chain too to do something similar. So DTube SteemHunt. So running a witness is kind of like a big thank you of sort of saying, look, we love the Steam blockchain and we want to create blocks as well. We want to add more reliability to it. We want to pump some of those funds that have been made from our posts and our interactions in the community, because obviously SteemHunt takes, I think, what is it, 15%, something like that off every.
Yeah, but it is. It's like another layer of investment, and I kind of appreciate that because it's nice to know that they're not planning to just be like, "Oh, we're on another blockchain now."
We're on Lino now, so yeah, no, it's like
you didn't have to say it.
It's like it's like putting
Yeah.
value back in, which is the whole idea, really. If you think about it, if you think about money, think about a £10 note. If you can go to a pub with 10 other people and put £10 note on the table, and you got £100, and that money is enough for everybody's drinks to go around for the night. You're
Right.
keeping the value in the table. You're keeping everybody
taking care
pissed,
of the people
right?
who take
and the
care
bar
of you.
owner
It's a very
knows that he's
Italian
getting
concept. You wash my hand,
money.
I wash.
Yeah, there's no
Well, there
pasta
could
or
be.
sauce
There could
involved,
be.
is there?
That's
What's this about
you don't know
washing
that
your
one?
hands, washing
Oh,
my
okay.
hands?
So
What's
in
that about?
America,
That's a bit one.
in this area in America, that's a big
Yeah.
one. One hand washes the other, meaning that you can wash your own hand with. So
Oh, I know that saying, yeah. I thought you meant
wash your
literally.
hands.
I was like, at the end of
No,
the
it's
meal,
like,
I have
oh
to
no,
wash
you
your
know what? I
hands. What
combine
kind
the
of
two. My
bullshit's
God, that's
this?
the most Italian thing ever. So just mess up sayings. It's you scratch my back, I scratch yours. One hand washes the other, and then I said,
Yeah, we have that one.
you wash my hand, I wash yours.
Yeah, I was
Oh
like,
man,
whoa, what is that?
my
Do
brain.
I have to not
Well,
shave and stuff for a while?
I know we're coming up on like we're about the halfway point, and I don't really have any mod beefs. Do you? I mean, I just like be nice to each other. Can we just be nice? Can we just frickin' be nice, please? Thank you very much. Can we just be nice? I'm gonna try to be nicer.
Yeah, life's tough
like-
enough as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, life's tough enough as it is, let alone having to like. I've dropped a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff in the last
I
couple
know.
of weeks. I've just gone like, you know what, whatever. Like, if
Oh.
that's what you want to do it. But no, I don't have
and
any.
also, I
beefs
didn't
as
write any
such,
of this
no.
down, so you don't know this is coming. But I wasn't even. I just remembered that we have little emotes on our Discord now. So I just decided, like, one day, I don't know, I really don't know where it came from, but I just wanted to have like a free play creative day that wasn't for clients and just do something. And I made a little like suite of custom emotes for Discord. So if you're still not on Discord, A, what are you doing? B, go in there and you can like see our little custom SteemHunt branded emotes. They're fun. And I like them. Sorry, I had to just like shout myself out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, they're good. They're nice. They are nice.
So let's talk about some picks. I got some picks.
Okay.
Shall I go first? Do you want to go first?
Okay. So, yeah.
Well,
I think
yeah.
you're
Where
going
else are we?
first 'cause
I'm just
you brought
following
it
the
up,
script.
like-
So this is my good one for the week, and it's one that I wanted to talk about because I hated it at first, and I was actually the mod for this post, and I was gonna delist it until I looked into it. It's called Disco Dog, and the hunter used a GIF as their image. And it's this poor little dachshund, this like cute, adorable dog. And he's got this disco light up LED vest on him. And I'm like, and then the next shot shows a smartphone where you can program different words, sayings, colors, and stuff. And I'm immediately like, eye roll beyond all eye roll. I'm not down. Like, leave your dog alone. Let your dog be a dog. Those are like kind of my two big beefs with a lot of pet products. But what's really awesome about this and what completely turned me around to this being a good hunt is that if you are out with your dog, especially at night, and your dog gets away from you or runs away, you can actually program this vest to say like, I'm lost, please return me. And especially if it's at night, there's cars around and things like that. I actually thought this was like a really cool safety feature. If you live in a city or a populated place, I think this is one of the coolest things that you could have if you're concerned about your dog getting away from you. If you know you have that dog where like they get away and you call them and they're just going to look at you and be like, bye. This might be something that's really cool. So I believe the way it works is that it's not tethered to your phone. So even if your dog gets away from you, you're actually sending the command to the cloud, and their server, like, let's hope it's like up in 6 months, but their server is communicating with this dog's vest. So you can actually say, this dog is mine, this dog is lost, please return here, or whatever. You can actually send a message out. Your dog's running around like having the time of his life.
I don't see that having cellular. I don't know how the hell that's getting. Maybe it's local Bluetooth, but I can't imagine it's got any distance to it. Plus, I don't know if I'm going to stop and pick up a dog with this jacket on. if it animates Lost on the back of it. I'm more likely to T-bone my car.
Here's my thing. Actually, now that I think about it, a better version of this product to me would just be a collar. You could do the exact same thing on a collar, have it light up, have it be visible to cars, have a message project on it. I think the fact that this has such a huge surface area really is so that like you can be like, oh look, I can put an emoji on it. It can be purple today. Like that part of it I don't like, but I did like the idea of being able to actually, have an alert out, or even say like this, this dog does not stay away. This dog doesn't like children, whatever. It's just communicating something that you need to communicate. If your dog gets away from you and you can't, you're communicating.
we've got set.
That's
be a
true.
better human.
That's true. I know.
Dog. My God. I don't know. It looks like technology looking for a solution.
I think
rather than a solution.
I think V3 of this might be good, but I don't know. I liked it for that reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. As a collar.
I like the neck thing. Because the neck thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you could do temperature and all kinds of things. I think that could work real good. My good of the week was a thing called Roldex. Well, I don't know if it was a week, maybe in the last 2 weeks, because obviously of the downtime, but it's called Roldex, ROLDX, RLDX.it. A simple way to keep tabs on the creative makers in your life. So this is kind of nice, and I can see where it fits because it's a little bit different than just having a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet or just like having it in notes or whatever. I can understand I can imagine a certain kind of computer user that would want it in this fashion. So it's a simple way to keep tabs on the creative makers in your life. So by that, what I mean is you might have people who are print designers. You might have somebody who does strategy for you, is a mobile developer, might be a design shop, something like that. Freelancers, fabricators, editors, devs teams. And it's kind of like a modern day content management system. So a content CRM, contact relationship system, contact relationship management. So we're basically tracking your relationships with these people. So you might be just a standalone business. Let's take it that you're an architect, right? You might be an architect, but do large scale pieces. And therefore you need a delivery person. You need to have somebody front of house at the museum. You've got like creatives that you use to make that art exhibition come together.
It's really nice,
and it's really sweet. It's really, really nice. It's super lightweight, categorized, quick actions for speed, shops, people, easy to switch from individual contacts to the shops you keep track of. So example is that you could be making a product. So for instance, you might be making some kind of like really snazzy candles with like beautiful designs, and you might roll these out at different shops around New York, for instance. So I was thinking that was a perfect way of like capturing all it seems to be just less bloated than having, if you've looked at any CRM in the past, like they just have so much in there that you don't need. And actually, if you're a busy person on the go and you're getting people come in and say, oh, you should definitely do an art display here or here or here, you're going to need to get to those people quickly. So from your desktop, I think
it is really nice looking. And I'm guessing that's like a play on the word Rolodex, because it is kind of like a new school. If you're old like us, exactly. You know what a Rolodex is. All right. So my bad one,
unfortunately,
is like, I don't even want to talk about it. It's because I'm just sick of seeing them, and I kind of don't even want to bring more attention, but it's called the Smart Tender, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's a robotic bartender on wheels. We've had like a ton of these over the last month. Like this weird, awkward thing where you like, it's got a terrible touchscreen that you know isn't going to work right. It probably runs on some insane Windows OS. It's just never going to be reliable, or always just have like the blue screen of death. It's I don't think it's autonomous in the sense that it rolls on its own, which is like, if you have a human in the equation to move it from place to place anyway, like what are we doing? But it's got a garnish tray, an ice bin. I don't get like what the robo bartender, what the appeal is there. Like 9 times out of 10 in a situation like that, nobody's asking you for like a mixology grade Manhattan. People just want like orange juice and vodka. We're like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we like? How is it supposed to replace a real bartender? Like, I think that's such a skill there's such a level of mastery involved with being a good bartender or mixologist. That what is this? This is just a drink vending machine.
Right.
This is like a soda machine, but for alcohol.
I'm trying to think when I've been in a situation where one of these has been available to me, and I can't think of it. So I'm obviously not in that demographic. So it doesn't seem to have that much use to me. But maybe from a perspective of really pulling something together really quick, maybe if you hover over the doors, I kind of like that little animation there where it shows you the packs of drink, 12 bags in the box, ranging from 0.5 to 3 gallons. I mean, maybe from a loyalty perspective, like for boxes and stuff. My only thing I will say with these is that they're probably more trouble than they're worth. And also it kind of keeps the middleman in the business, because obviously somebody's come up with this idea because they thought it was a good idea. Instead of paying staff to be around, it's like an automated solution. As long as it doesn't break down and it's super, super reliable and there's no like issues with the ingredients in those bags, then
it's still got to be somebody's job to maintain it though, and clean it and replace the bag. So like, it's, I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not it's not any more efficient, right?
Yeah, you're making a custom. Right, you're making a custom bag of liquor and putting liquor in that, so that's got a cost in it and sure. And again, I think that's where a lot of my beefs are really, is that we end up like inventing stuff for a particular purpose. We don't really have the knock-on effect. We don't really worry about the knock-on effect of it until, I might buy that machine and 2 years later the company sells to somebody else and they discontinue making the bags, and I'm stuck with this like trash that can no longer be. You probably end up at a maker space like printing.
So I have a problem with robotic bartenders of all sorts. There were millions, and this was just the one that I happened to come across last. Like, come on. The bartender like relationship is like, I don't know, that's such a cool thing. That's part of why you go out and you're like a human being in society, is to like talk to your bartender, get a drink recommendation, learn about the drink, or like watch somebody with their craft who's really good at it. And it's just like, that takes all the fun out of it for me. But hey, I'm an old fashioned gal. Yeah.
No, I get it. My bad of the week is something called Tada Time, which has this triggering gif that got me straight away with this cheesy bloke who like turns his eye up when she throws out her AI AR character onto the desktop. Like,
I'm watching
people walk into a bar who've never met each other before, strangers. He's got a water like on the bar, and
it's
he's
like a 3D avatar,
like
that she pops out of her phone.
And then I read the thing.
AR.
Yeah, and it's one of the times where like it really doesn't matter that it's a world's first. It's a world's first because nobody's done it before, because it's dumb. What is the, I mean, the text says it all really. What is the better way to communicate in the social group by actually customizing yourself in the real world and interacting? Sounds crazy. The application lets you create your avatar, customize it, and just interact with it and send it to your friends to chat with them. This application is really future. Choose different themes from the app, give your Tada a life, and hang with your friends and share it. Give the chat a new and fresh look. Now, just no, really. Just no. I mean, here's the thing. I like the technology in terms of like scanning the face. If you scroll down where it says create and customize, I like the idea where it's sort of scanning the face and there's a little animation. But when the face ends up on the model, like it doesn't look great. And actually, again, it's technology looking for a problem, right? Just because your phone can do AR and VR and all that sort of stuff, that's the bit that Apple make like every day to people to fascinate them, blind them with science, when really they want you to accept it so that they can continually scan your mood and sell you products based on how fucking bored you are, right? And we give away our privacy for these things. And it's kind of a manipulation, because it's fascinating to a kid to see a virtual object that's not there for the first time. But then it's
I think
there's just something very wrong about it that I don't like. I don't like it.
Right. And that's the thing I think that you're picking up on that I also don't like either, which is like, yes, it's all well and cool, like having a little avatar of yourself that makes like emojis. But the way that this is presented, like especially with that first GIF, is like, this is this is the new way to communicate. This is like the social tool that we've been missing, which is like, for me, I'm old school. And I think that like face-to-face eye contact, human to human communication is like the best thing. And we have those technological things for when we're removed from each other. But what are we doing when we're inserting the tech stuff when we're already face to face? Like that seems like it's barging in on a space that I don't need it to be. It's not a tool at that point. It's a disruption.
But also, like, let's just deconstruct this for a second. First of all, like, supposedly we're putting this AR character out into space, right? Who's a representation of who we think we should be, or we think we are, or wish we were. But also, who's the guy at the bar with that app open, waiting for?
Do you remember when AirDrop first came out, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, so like, going to be airdropping stuff to each other constantly"? That never happened. And the iPhone is like one of the most, like one of the most prevalent phones, at least in Western society. Everybody's got an iPhone. Everybody keeps that shit turned off. Like people don't necessarily want to be interrupted with random communications from strangers. And now this is like in 3D avatar version. I don't know.
But who knows? But who knows? This generation, like my daughter's generation, maybe with everything that goes on in the world, they want to be that level of distracted. Maybe they will. Like where we were customizing stuff that we didn't like the look of, and we repainted it, rebadged it, and then we got into social and shared this, shared that, like this, got a notification, oh, somebody liked my picture. Like VR and augmented reality, we might be able to walk past somebody in a bar with a jacket, which is like futuristic, with like photos that move from the history, and be like, oh shit, I went there once.
I don't know. I guess if you maybe have like extreme social anxiety, and this is something that helps you get over that and makes it easier to talk to somebody. Or also I thought of, like you ever see in movies where like the trope about counseling is people use puppets to be like, okay, now tell that person how you feel. I just see married couples with these things like strangling each other on the table. Right.
Well, I can fix part of that. The guy needs to buy a beer instead
also
of a glass of water.
That painting behind them is all I can look at. It's horrifying. Okay, so was that your bad one? Because that was weird. Okay, wow. So your bad one was weird, and my weird one is bad. My strange one, I hate this so much. It literally makes my skin crawl. It's called Karaoke Bot. And honestly, I don't even want to get into it, but like, I don't personally even think this is a product. I had to verify it because it didn't violate PG, but I think it's more of somebody's personal project. Somebody took this horrifying, like animatronic moon face, and you gotta see it, but it's like this face that's got these rosy cheeks, these huge Disney eyeballs, and it's got eyes that move back and forth. It's got eyelids. It's got a jaw that just like clanks up and down like that. Like it's every horror movie robot you've ever seen. And the person like programmed it to sing along with music. Because for I don't know what, for entertainment value or entertainment purposes, but you have to.
No, that's going to be so useful. No, Baba, this is going to be so useful for me when there's a tsunami wave coming in. I can fire up my karaoke bot and be happy that
if you physically even look at it, it's horrifying. B, it serves absolutely no purpose. C, I don't really even think it's a product. I'm like kind of regretting the fact that I passed it, but I think it was just somebody's pet project. Well, that's the problem. What we're getting a lot of lately, real quick, is we're getting robots that people make, and it's just like a project for their blog. Like if I have a food blog and I make a recipe, that's not me owning a restaurant. That's me just doing something out of like a passion project. So
yeah, but if you mash up all those bits, and I mean, they're not selling it, so it's not. I mean, that's the fine line, isn't it? Is that we say it's a product hunting site. So, I mean, with all those elements put together, it is now a product,
that has
it is a karaoke bot. This is an innovation that you would have on the space shuttle that you wouldn't be able to turn off because you couldn't reach it because you were strapped in, and it would never stop.
Clacking and clattering, like this thing singing. And the guy freaking, of course, programmed it to sing "Never Gonna Give You Up," never gonna like. Of course, he decided to rickroll the whole thing. It's terrible, and I hate it. Sorry, I had to. Yeah, and it's my strange one.
It's terrifying. No, it's terrifying. My strange is going to be really quick because it's kind of a twofer, because the one I did put up was broken. I don't know if the person deleted it or it just like got nuked or whatever, but I put up two separate ones, and one of them is just a GoPro handlebar mount, the actual mount for the GoPro. And then also a thing called Splash Tours, which is a water tour bus. And I just want to get these across to people. And the reason why they're strange is that Product Hunt is about hunting the product that somebody is going to want to buy. No, somebody's not going to. I don't understand why people think hunting the bracket that comes in the box for the GoPro is worth hunting. I think it's just people like pushing buttons. But like, I find that strange to me that like, all right, it's a bracket, but like, do we want a website where we list every single bracket out there that's going to, in a different way? So that's super strange to me, because the guidelines are very clear about what stuff that we need on there. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is that somebody hunted a business, not a product. And I'm seeing a lot of that happen. And I think it happens because people are excited about what they're watching. It might be a GIF they've animated, or like, look at this bus, it can float on the water. That's awesome. You should have hunted the bus. Right, the bus is the product, is the technology, but you hunted Splash Tours, which is the business, right? And I get it; it's difficult to understand it's a slight difference, and you should just accept it. But if we want to improve the quality of the products that are on the site, it's not that big of a change to understand. Is that one is a service, one is a business.
Something like that feels like trying to jam a round peg into a square hole, because if it's something that was built for a specific purpose, a one-off for the business who's actually providing a service, not like you can just buy these buses, then is it a product?
Well, you can. Of course you can buy a van.
Oh, I thought it was just for the tour. Like they do their tour one of these with the just bus, for this company, and then that's their own localized business. Not that you could buy the bus.
I kicked it back because it wasn't a product. Like the Splash Tours is a business, right? The Splash Tours bus for me is the product. If they'd hunted the bus, a water capable bus that can drive on land and go in the water, then that's a product, because I can go and buy that product.
Yeah, and I think that requires like a little bit extra research, like you were saying. You know what I mean? That might be made by a third party, some company in Germany who makes those, and this one's just been branded out for Splash Tours. Like, you don't know, but Splash Tours is where they saw it, so that's where it got posted. So I get what you mean.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. At the end of the day, we've gone through so many iterations of the guidelines that when I hit things like this, I'm like, this is the very thing that annoys me about products and advertising and marketing these days, is that they sell you on the, like, I think they've got obsessed with that whole, like, if you don't capture people's attention in the first 10 seconds, then you lose them. They're onto another web page. And they've taken that and they've misconstrued that messaging. And it's now convinced people it's something before they leave and get into something else. And there's a certain amount of trickery, and I don't like the trickery, right? I don't like the trickery of that. We have a very clear guidelines, especially for the PG, for the product. And so I guess I'm very precious about that, because I want the website to surprise me, and it does on an everyday basis. There's things that I have never seen and never found and never come across, and they're products that I'm like, oh damn, if I had the money, I'd probably buy that, because that could be useful for my life in XYZ ways. But then when it's something like, when you're going through and you're getting to your 45th hunt of the day, and it's like Splash Tours, it's like, how can I put this through? Because if I put this through, then all of a sudden we end up with everything that is cool, but it's not in the PG. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think this is not cool. I think this is really cool. Would I want to go on it? Absolutely. I think it's cool. But I would hunt the technology behind the product rather than the brand.
We're done.
Anyway, we're done, I think.
Ooh.
We're done. We've come up to 58 minutes as well. We're like nailed it on the whole like hour. We're trying to do our blog post for like 45 minutes to an hour, or at least that's what I would like to do, like us to do. Because of people in the car, like I think 45 minutes is good for somebody commuting on a train or a bus or in a car, 45 minutes to an hour. I don't like those situations. I don't like the idea that somebody gets home and then they've got to listen to the other 50 minutes in the house.
Well,
I doubt it with that
We're
captivating.
59 minutes and 3 seconds.
I mean, I've not looked at the stats. You probably turn off after like 2.5 minutes.
Oh,
I'm looking at it. I got 57 minutes. I was just padding. I was just seeing where we're going.
Thanks, Team Humble.
All right, I'm going to play the outro. Thanks, Delio, for taking part. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We're at steemit.com /@ProductSense.
Yeah, but like we want people to call in and stuff, and we want to.
It's all in the outro
do
anyway.
more picks, because when we had a guest on, that was like really fun. So if you're interested in something like that, just shoot us a message, and we'll talk about it. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Subscribe with Pocket Casts and get notified right away.
And if you use Anchor FM, feel free to call in and leave us a message. We try and reply in our next cast.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can go to anchor.fm/ProductSense.
And if you'd like to hang out with us on Discord, there's a link on that page as well. We'll speak to you soon.